Hey y'all, it's the Rocco Sisters. So today we are bringing you guys a video titled 5 Tips to Following God in College. And so, as mentioned previously, Isley's a sophomore at Chapel Hill and I am a senior graduating in May from NC State, and we have both made the personal decision to walk with the Lord in college. And so we're going to give you guys 5 tips, just things that have really helped us in our walk with the Lord in college and just that overall experience. And so our first tip is just to get plugged in immediately. And 2 things with this, I would say. One is your roommate is super crucial in this. I think, we're called to be friends with people that do not share our same beliefs, and we totally encourage that, and we'll talk about that later in the video. But I think living day-to-day life with someone it's super important that they share your values and your beliefs, especially as a believer in college. And so I would say be very diligent in searching for a roommate. Don't just kind of settle for a roommate. I would really say ask intentional questions, maybe even ask uncomfortable questions. Don't be afraid to ask things, about certain parts of their life and what they believe about certain things, whether it be drinking or smoking, whatever that is, just so that you can have the best first year of college as possible. And so Isley and I both got really, really lucky with our roommates, but we put in the work prior to. So Isley will talk a little bit about Facebook searching for roommates, but I would say another thing is also just start to research the ministries that your campus offers prior to even setting foot on campus. I know when I was a senior in college, I started to follow Crew at NC State. I followed Young Life. I started to follow RUF, a bunch of different ministries that I had heard about before even getting to campus, so that I could already kind of see, what is this ministry about? What does it look like virtually? And so even I think, reaching out to people who are already on campus that you might know, older friends or siblings who have been to the university and kind of know a little bit more about each different ministry and what it offers. I think that's a really great resource for you guys before even stepping foot on your college campus as a freshman.
Yeah, so like Isabel said, we both found our roommates actually through Facebook. And Isabel was a huge role model to me in my entry into college and my following Jesus in college and making that my number one priority when going to UNC. So she actually helped me, and now we're going to recommend to y'all to pray for your roommate before you even start the search. Like we said, some of y'all might be younger, you might be in high school, middle school, whatever your age may be. It's never too early to start praying for those things because God already knows. And so just praying for your roommate, praying that there's someone who is going to push you in your relationship with Christ and hold you accountable. And so, we both found our roommates on Facebook. So kind of some things that I did was, once you get added to those group chats for your school, I think they're all on Facebook. I don't know, it's funny. I would type in the keywords like Christian or Jesus, or we both did Young Life in high school, so I typed in Young Life to see if that was maybe something they were interested in. But like Isabel said, don't be afraid to ask those hard questions, because at the end of the day, that's something that you're going to want to know, is that your roommate has a love for Jesus. And like she said, just going to reiterate, it doesn't mean that we can't live with or love people who don't have those same beliefs as us, because trust me, we have plenty of friends who don't. But that day-to-day life, you'll see it's so easy to be influenced by a number of things in college that's something that's really important to be mindful and prayerful about. So for tip number 2, we're going to tell y'all that it's really important to find your best fit for ministry on and off campus. So for on campus, this kind of just looks like what Isabel said, starting to follow and research and look up. Like I said, already kind of said, I do Young Life at UNC, but I also tried out multiple different ministries, and that was something that was I prayed a lot about, because no ministry is a bad ministry. We're all serving the same God. We're all doing the same work for the same kingdom. Yeah. So that's just important to keep in mind, is that you can't really make a bad decision there, but God definitely calls us to certain places and he puts those desires in our hearts. And so I remember the first week I was at college, I went to like tons, like they're waiting for y'all. They're waiting for you to get onto campus. They've been praying for you. Trust me, as us being older now and me going into my third year and her graduating, they're waiting. Like we're waiting and praying for you guys before you even enter the campus, and just really wanting more people to come alongside of us and to join that larger community of followers, because it's definitely been the most rewarding thing that I've been involved in since being in college. And it's so fun. Like I remember going to like ice cream Sunday parties. Like I'll never forget some of the things and the people that I've met who've turned into be my best friends now and for forever. So I think those are the main things that I can think of, but do you have anything else?
Yeah, I would definitely say don't neglect finding a community also outside of your campus. Like it's really important to get involved in a local church as well. Like Cru and Young Life are great for the 4 years you're in college, but I will say college flies by and you're going to want a community that outlasts your time in college. And so those campus ministries are wonderful. 100% get plugged in to the full potential, but also definitely do your part in kind of visiting local churches, also asking around about that. There's a lot of great churches in Raleigh, great churches in Chapel Hill, but anywhere there's going to be local churches around a college campus. And so really do your research and part in finding those. And I'd also, just to add to the ministry part of it, I think it's really easy to feel, at least I felt super overwhelmed coming to college, like, oh my gosh, am I going to make the wrong decision and choosing this ministry versus this ministry? But like Isley said, like we're all there doing the same things at the end of the day. While Young Life serves high school students, Cru serves college students, we're all trying to follow people to Christ, and we're all trying to encourage each other in our walks with Christ. And so I think really it's just finding your niche of people. And I came into college really thinking I wanted to be a Young Life leader, and the Lord kind of changed that when I got to campus and just really fell in love with the community of Cru. And so I joined Cru my freshman year, and I've been in it since, and it has been by far the best thing that I've been a part of in college. It made my college experience what it was. And so really just persevere in finding that right fit for you, because it is so worth it, and it will change your college experience 100% for the better. And
something else to add real quick about the churches is it's just really cool to be a part of another body of believers who have families. That's been something really special about being a part of a local church, is just being able to serve there and see. Sometimes it's just nice to get off of a college campus and see life outside of that. Like those of you who are in college, you know this, and if you're not yet, you'll see that it's really nice to just see that bigger community and be a part of that. So and also, if y'all have any questions about like the specific ministries that we're involved in, we can do another video on that, or talk a little bit more about it, because like she said, Young Life is targeting towards, it's college, high school, and middle school. I'm a high school leader, but they're all great, like we said, and it's just really where the Lord is calling you to, and what you're feeling with that. So I think we're gonna hit Number three
is just to ensure that you're growing individually outside of community and outside of church. And so we've kind of gathered just a few resources. We'll link those below. These are just a few among many that we could recommend, and I'm sure other people could recommend to you. But personally, these are some of our favorite things. So kind of what do I mean first with just individually growing? I think quiet times, devotionals, whatever you want to call it, whatever that looks like for you, is just spending one-on-one time with the Lord. And we'll talk about balancing and prioritizing a little bit later in the video, but I really think it comes down to cutting out that intentional time to spend with the Lord, whatever that looks like. That might be in the morning for you, it might be at night. I'm a total morning person, and so I know if I don't read my Bible in the morning, it probably won't get done because I'm sleepy at night and my mind's just not fully engaged. And so pick a time of day that's best for you, a time that you're not going to be disrupted, that you're going to be engaged and awake. And really, that is just so vital in anyone's spiritual life. Is we can't have a spiritual life without being alone and being alone with the Lord. Jesus went away so often from the disciples and from community to be alone with the Father and to pray. And if Jesus did that in his time on earth, then how much more do we need to be doing that? And I think your quiet time is just a time to bring your worries, your things to the Lord and let the Lord speak to you. And so this is something, this is just a devotional. This is a daily kind of guide. It has a message. This is by Paul David Tripp. It's called New Morning Mercies, and it's super popular, but I don't know if it's going to focus. But basically, it's just got a message, and then down here, it's a recommendation for a passage in Scripture to read. And it doesn't take super long, but it really just gives you a good chunk of a message and Scripture to read.
And then I'm just going to show you all my Bible in case you don't have one or you're looking to get a new one. I got this for a graduation present after my senior year, and I love it. It's by Hosanna Revival, which, like she said, we'll link them below, but they have a lot of really beautiful, like, hand-painted Bibles, and you're able to write, like, notes in them. Like I said, I don't know if you can really see it, but there's, like, a part right here where you can just jot some things down if you don't want to write them in your journal. And I think it comes in multiple different translations and stuff, but I really love this Bible a lot. So
and you can buy Bibles like Amazon,
Target,
Walmart. Bibles are available everywhere, and I'm sure your local church would love to give you a Bible as well if you don't have one. And then the last resource is just something that I have used in discipleship. And if you aren't familiar with what discipleship is, that's really just kind of going alongside of another believer and doing life with them. It's more of an intimate setting than like a Bible study would be or a small group. And so it's one-on-one. I was discipled. I'm actually still being discipled in college. And I disciple a girl that's in my study. And so you basically meet once a week and you kind of go through a book of some sort, or sometimes you just talk about life. And so this book is really great. It's called Disciplines of a Godly Woman, and I was discipled through this book, and I'm also now using this to disciple a girl from my study. But it's by Barbara Hughes, and it's got some great chapters in here. Discipline of prayer and marriage, the church, and it has questions at the end of every chapter, which just leads to really great conversation. And so I would really encourage this as a resource in discipleship. So
so for the fourth tip, or the fourth point, we're going to talk about balancing and prioritizing your relationship with the Lord in college. So this is definitely something that's tough at all times of life, but you'll see, or if you're in college, it's really, really easy to be influenced by the world and by your flesh when you're in college. There's a lot of different things grabbing for your attention, like boys or girls, friendships, school. And so it's really just important to schedule your time with the Lord. And that can change depending on, like Isabel said, morning person, night person. This past semester, I actually started doing mine at night because I was having to wake up really early. And so it was hard for me to find that time in the morning, but just making sure that you prioritize the Lord first, because like I was saying, it's really easy to think that there's other things that are more important, but it's really, really important for you to realize that the Lord is the reason that we're at college. He's the reason that we're there and that we're here in this moment. And so it's really important just to keep that relationship with Him at the forefront, because a lot of other things won't really make sense that you're doing in college, because you really are living you're living a holy lifestyle. You're living separate from what other people are doing. And so it's important that you take that time to really just spend the time that you need to with Him, because it will change your day and your week, and just how you live your entire college experience. Like as well as saying, it's a relationship first and foremost with the Lord. And another thing I want to add on to that is kind of how we were saying earlier with the roommate stuff. Really important to have maybe a Bible study or someone who disciples you or your roommate to help keep you accountable with your priorities and with your weekly schedule, because as humans, it might be 4 days that go by and you might realize you haven't spent the time in the Word or your time in the Word. And so it's important to have those people who can ask you hard questions and be like, how's your time in the Word been this week? And you being able to be honest with them. I don't know if you have anything.
Just to add a little bit, you touched on a lot of good points, but I think putting it into perspective of like, okay, I'm spending 3 hours of my day in the library. I'm going to spend 2 hours later with my friends. I think, could we give some of that time to the Lord, like every day, not just squeeze in 10 minutes here or there, but really make it a priority and discipline ourselves to cut out a time every single day in our schedules. You know your schedule before school even starts every semester, and so just adding that into your schedule like you would a class or an extracurricular activity. And like Isley said, having someone hold you accountable for that, having a roommate that's willing to come alongside of you and pray for things that are going on in your life that you need prayer for. It's just so important. And I love what you said earlier to me when we were planning this video.
Yeah, I was saying something someone else said to me was that your time with the Lord starts the night before. Yeah. So if you're someone who wakes up early to read the Word and be in Scripture, then that time already starts the day before when you choose to go to bed, because that also fits into your priorities. Is we decide how much time we spend on school and what we're doing the night before, depending on what time you go to bed. So making sure you go to bed at a decent hour, if you know that that's the time that you're setting apart to be with the Lord in the morning, that's a relationship like any other, and we should treat it as way more important than spending time with friends or waking up and getting on your phone. And that reminds me of something else, like I know friends, and I've done this, setting time limits for myself so that my social media doesn't activate until like a certain time in the morning, so I can just be still and not really think about those things yet. So lastly, for tip number 5, we're just gonna talk a little bit about how Christians have fun too in college.
Yeah, a lot of dang fun.
A lot of fun, and also just what it looks like to invite others in, because that's our number one mission as Christians, is to share the gospel with people and change people's souls for eternity. So having fun in college, there's so many things I could say about this, and we're already going kind of long on this video. As you can see, we're very passionate about this stuff, but literally Christians have so much fun. I might do another talk a little bit more about this if y'all want, but I rushed coming into college to join a sorority, and my roommate's actually in a sorority, so I've gotten to see a lot of, be a part of a lot of that lifestyle, and I've been able to, and I just want to preface this with saying it's really important to make sure that you're grounded in your faith if that's something that you're hoping to do, because like I said, a lot of the times it's easy for worldly things to influence us, but I've been able to go to a lot of different events and cocktails. Just because you're not super involved in like a community outside of something that's Christian doesn't mean you can't still go out, and like we said, having a lot of friends who aren't directly in the Christian community, but there's also just so much fun that comes with having a really close group of friends. Like one little story, I went to a party my freshman year. I don't think you were there, but this is it was like a Christian party. One of the Christian fraternities on our campus threw it, and like we broke the floor. The floor straight up like broke through. There. You were there?
21st?
Yeah, okay, she was there. The floor straight up just broke through. So if Christians get rowdy, like they do. So
we know how to have a good time.
Yeah.
And it's awesome.
And then
I can talk about inviting others in real quick. I'll just touch on that. I think college is such an opportunity as believers. Like, there's people there who for the first time in their lives are leaving the comfort of their homes and are actually starting to form beliefs and their own opinions outside of their parents. And like, there's so much opportunity for spiritual conversation. There's so many people searching for their identity and their purpose in college, and it is just honestly one of the biggest mission fields I think personally I'll ever be on.
Yeah.
And if you have the opportunity to go to college, like, use that for your advantage. Like Isley said, the Lord put you on that campus for a specific purpose, and he's going to use it to glorify him. And so use those friendships that you have with believers and non-believers alike. Invite people in. People are much more likely to come to an event if you invite them and personally go out of your way to invite them to a cookout. And it doesn't have to be some worship session for the first thing. It could be like spike ball, or it could be like a cookout on the quad. Like, whatever that looks like, invite people in. People are lonely. They want to find community. And so
they're seeking that, just so y'all know. Like, college is a really lonely and dark place for a lot of people, and they're desiring that because nothing on this earth can fulfill us like the Lord can. And so ultimately, at some point, people are going to reach a point in their lives where that hole in their heart just can't be filled by anything that's being offered. And so, like Isabel said, it's just really, really cool to, and we've both seen many people come to the Lord while being in college. And so he's already working, and he's already working in those places, and we can just be really prayerful for those people as well. So I think that's all we wanted to talk about for this video. So those are our 5 tips for y'all. We'll rewrite them in the description down below, so you can kind of just go through them if you need to. But make sure to follow us on our Instagram. It's the same as our YouTube username, so it's at the Rocco Sisters. Our younger sister obviously isn't here with us today. She's in high school. But yeah, we love y'all, and we hope you enjoyed this video. Let us know if there's anything else you want us to touch on or talk about.
Yeah, and like Isley said, we'd love to do a separate video on any one specific of these tips, or just more of our personal experiences in college and ministry, because that's been a huge part of our lives.
There's so much we could talk about.
But thank y'all for watching to the end, and we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.